We were just always surrounded by music and great music, whether it was rock and roll or pop or rock or anything like. And I was just always the kid that knew the lyrics to every song and sang along. And for me is just, it's my day to day. It's my love. It's my passion. And I'm so lucky that I get to call it like my job, but it never feels like work.
The self-doubt, the pressure being a woman, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. Get ready for a story, insights and reflections from one of Australia's most talented and dynamic female country music artists, Tori Darke. From falling in love with music as a young girl to pushing through the nerves of her first terrifying performance, she reminds us all that chasing our dreams takes courage, resilience, and a whole lot of heart.
I think the biggest advice I could give is that 1, believe in yourself. 2, have a great support network. And 3, another thing is like, you've just got to be all in. It's one of those things where if you do it half-heartedly, the result will be half-hearted.
Tori, welcome to Share.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Good. I've been, it's a pleasure to have you and steal a little bit of a slice of your schedule away to catch up and chat all things Tori.
Yeah, I mean, look, my schedule is a little manic, but it's just what I'm used to these days. It's the daily norm for me.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is already my second podcast of the day, so here we go.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Excellent. Tori, I wanted to start by asking you, obviously with your journey in the music industry and your love for music, was there kind of a moment in your life that defined or I suppose cemented that you would be following that path full time?
I think from a very young age, my love of music was something that was always so present. But I think from the moment I first did like a ticketed show and I actually had people show up and buy tickets, I was like, oh, wow, like this is legit. Like people like my music and you know, building a fan base is really hard. So to know that like you can get, you know, people buying a ticket to your show, it's really special. And you know, you're asking people to invest in you and invest in your career. And I think you know, having had those experiences from a younger age, it just made me go, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And music for me is just, it's my day to day. It's my love. It's my passion. And I'm so lucky that I get to call it like my job, but it never feels like work.
Yeah. Well, there's a good quote that goes with that, isn't there? You know,
Yeah.
if you, which is great. So tell me, where did the love start for singing?
Oh, look, I was just that kid that wouldn't shut up. So my parents were both rock and roll dancers, so we'd listen to a lot of music and went to a lot of different dancing competitions when my brother and I were kids, and my brother and I ballroom danced as well. And we were just always surrounded by music and great music, whether it was rock and roll or pop or rock or anything like. And I was just always the kid that knew the lyrics to every song and sang along and would be in the shopping center singing, and my mom would be like, hey, she's like, what? She's like, you're singing. I was like, I was like, so yeah, at about the age of 10, mom and dad put me into singing lessons for the first time. And that was the end of it. That was the beginning of, you know, just my deep dive into music and into singing. And, I started off just, you know, doing singing lessons and then had a few piano lessons, and then later down the track taught myself guitar, and now I have a full-blown career in country music and have released several singles and done a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk to me about your first performance on stage.
Oh my God, it was terrifying, like actually terrifying. I remember I got up on stage and just stood there. I had a microphone and I just stood there like deer in headlights. It was terrifying. I didn't move. I was probably stiff as a board, but I think all of those experiences make you a better artist and a better person. You learn from every performance. And I mean, you're a kid, it's terrifying. There's all these people looking at you and room full of strangers you've never met. You can see your mum in the audience or your dad going, you've got this, like, and you're just like, oh, I don't think I do. I was a very, very shy child. So for someone that was very shy, stepping out on that stage for me was really uncomfortable, I guess I would say. My mum used to have to bribe me to sing for her friends. So I became a very, very rich 10-year-old because mum would be like, I'd give you $5. And I'd be like, okay, I'll sing for your friends, but I have to face the wall. I can't look at them. So for me, it was one of those things that was quite funny, because I would be facing the back wall and everyone would be looking at the back of my head. And here I am singing. And then if I just couldn't turn around, and it took me, definitely a little while to get out of that. But my first performance, I think it might have even been singing a song from Aladdin, like A Whole New World. And I turned around.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you watch back on those early years, how does that make you feel knowing where you are now as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, those early years sort of shaped me into the person and the artist that I am now. And it's hard. Like, if I compared the two, it's like just a different person, a different human. And it's crazy to think that I came from this really shy young kid that wouldn't sing in front of anyone to someone that gets up on stage and is just, I feel like it's this out of body experience. Like, I'm confident. I love what I do. I move around the stage. I interact with the audience. I talk on stage, which is a whole nother thing too for an artist. Like, some people absolutely love talking on stage, and then others are just like, let's just play some music. Like, and I'm really proud of the person and the artist that I am. And it's taken me a long time to get here, but it's not due to, not having hard moments and things like that. But I also think too, going through just life in general and growing up as a person, you learn different ways of coping or different ways of performing. And I think if you can implement all of that, it shows.
Yeah. Going through that journey, like from you turning around, like getting that courage to turn around, then you were like, oh, I lent into that discomfort and now it's more comfortable, right?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, when I was a kid, it wasn't comfortable to sing in front of anyone. But the more you do something and the more you practice one thing, the more confidence you get. And I think too, when, that young shy kid, that once I did turn around and people enjoyed things and people thought I was good or people cheered me on, I was like, oh, like, you get a little bit of that confidence boost and that a little bit of that adrenaline rush that you just go, okay, all right, let's do another one of those. And before you know it, you're performing, last year on national television. So it's a whirlwind to think the different things I've done and the progression of where I started to where I am now.
Yeah. Some of the guests that I've had on the podcast, some have been discouraged when they're younger, and that's kind of pushed them to do what they want. It sounds like, though, for you had the encouragement of your parents and the support of your parents to kind of follow your passion.
Yeah, my parents were and still are absolutely incredible. They have always been my biggest fans, and I love them dearly. They have taught me so much about, having a really strong work ethic and chasing your dreams and not giving up. I think it's so easy from a young age to sort of start to invest in something, but then you hit a little bit of a rough patch or things get a little bit hard and you just go, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do it. And unfortunately, like, a lot of my friends that I grew up with playing music with, they don't do it anymore. They all went and got, as everyone would say, a real job, a 9 to 5, or have had families and settled down and stepped out of that music space. But for me, having that support network from my parents and my family always encouraged me to just do more and to just keep getting out there and doing what I love and following that dream, no matter how hard it gets or how much work you've got to put into it. It is a lot of hard work, and a lot of time you miss out on lots and lots of different things, and you just have to really dive in and give it everything you've got. And without the support of my family and being like a backbone in those earlier ages, I don't think I'd still be doing music.
Yeah. Talk to me about your early influences in music. What were some of the groups or the solo singers that you kind of looked up to and kind of were inspired by?
As a kid, my two biggest influences were actually Shania Twain and LeAnn Rimes. They were two albums that I had on repeat and two artists that I just continually listened to. And back then, as a kid growing up, not necessarily, I guess every kid my age was listening to Shania Twain and LeAnn Rimes. They were probably listening to Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys. And don't get me wrong, I listened to them too. But the people that I just, I guess, strived to be like or to sound like or to learn from were those really influential females.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And tell me about then what the experience was of then being on Team LeAnn when you were on The Voice.
Look, it was really hard not to be a total fangirl. Because I have been a LeAnn Rimes fan, like I said, since I was a kid, and she is just the most beautiful human and down to earth and so welcoming into her space. She has been in the music industries from 13, in the limelight, which, you know, is phenomenal. The youngest ever Grammy winner. She is just phenomenal, and I learned so much from her in that short space, and I still have contact with her, and she has never stopped believing in any of us that were on her team. So to be learning from one of the best in the industry and one of my biggest influences, it was this surreal time in my life of being like, oh my gosh, that's actually LeAnn Rimes. She's in the same room as me. And she's just phenomenal. I can't say enough how grateful I am to have her in my corner.
Yeah. Your voice journey, obviously you had two experiences on The Voice. The first, and I've watched both videos. I've watched both of those experiences. And it was interesting for me because I asked you earlier around, you know, looking back at your earlier experiences to who you are now as a musician. And I look at your first experience in season 10 of The Voice to, you know, the 13th season, the most recent one. And I look at that and I go, the difference in the person that was on the 10th season to the 13th season was phenomenal.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of growth there. And, you know, I did The Voice in 2020, I think.
Yep.
Was the first time I did it, and I had a very, very different experience. And I was still in COVID when that was filming. You know, we were on set wearing those face shields, and we were, you know, no contact, no, it was just a different world we were all living in, and we were all just trying to get by. And I think that's probably one of the points in my life that's been the biggest struggle, because being a musician in that time in the world and everything that was going on, it was really hard to know where you sat as a musician or as a person, or just how you felt on the daily after being through so much. And then coming out of that experience and also still kind of being in that lockdown phase of not being able to pursue music still. The Voice is filmed in advance as well. So we had filmed that in February and it aired in August, I think. But living in Sydney at the time in Cronulla with my husband, we were still in lockdown. So by the time it aired again, we'd gone into like another lockdown, and then you couldn't go play gigs. You couldn't go promote new music. So it felt like a really weird space. And then coming back 3 years later, totally other level of where I was at as an artist and as a person. I had come out the other side of that. I've been recording new music, writing tons of new music, been touring for the last few years, and also having been on the road with one of the biggest country music artists in Australia, Lee Koenig, and I had just grown so much as a performer and as an artist. And then going back onto that show was a huge risk. You know, there was that definite fear of not turning a chair again and not getting onto a team. But I also knew that going in this time, I knew who I was as an artist. I wasn't trying to hide that I was a country singer. I went on to that experience and that stage just going, this is who I am. And you know what? I don't care who doesn't. I don't care who likes it. It's just, this is me being me, and this is me doing my thing. And I'm so proud of everything I achieved in that moment.
Yeah. The performance, that first performance on the 10th season, you know, and I, on this podcast, in many of the guests, we always talk about authenticity. And I sit there and I go, obviously you chose a pop song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the experience would have changed differently if you chose a country song back then?
Oh, 100%. It didn't feel right. The moment I stepped on the stage, I just was like, this is not happening today. I knew in my gut that it wasn't right and it was the wrong choice, but I went with it. I made a choice, and it's a hard space, country music, because my whole life it's been like, oh, you're a country singer. Oh, you sing that Western stuff. oh, you've got a pair of boots, don't you? Like the stigma behind country music has been so different. And in that point in time, it was still a little like that. Country music wasn't cool enough. Whereas coming into 2025, the biggest selling shows in Australia are country artists. The
Yep.
biggest selling festivals in Australia are country artists. And it's this whole new space that I'm like, oh my God, it's only taken like my whole life to get here, but we're finally here.
Yep.
And you can be yourself around whoever and it doesn't matter. And people love that. And I think it's a whole new world that we live in now in the space of music and in what's popular. And you could almost, pop music is popular music. You could pretty much put country into that same sort of genre now, because almost every person is listening to country music of somewhat way in Australia now.
And if you look at the reality TV shows around, singing, whether it's, Australian Idol or The Voice globally, right? It's interesting because I find that, years ago, if there was a singer that would sing something country or a little bit more Western and it wasn't pop, like the judges would be like, well, how are we going to market that? That's like that. We're not going to be able to do that. And now, like, you see some of the highlights of these shows through the auditions, through the battle rounds, those kind of things. The things that are hitting the front pages of, kind of entertainment, sites and highlights is people that have got a unique voice, and very much it does lean to that country perspective.
Yeah, it's a really different space to live in now. And like you say, in terms of media and even social media, the marketing around country music now is huge. And, I was having this chat with someone earlier on, and even Western fashion now is cool. And people are, putting rhinestones on their clothes and tassels on their clothes. And every girl out there's buying a pair of cowboy boots and
ripped jeans.
Yeah, ripped jeans, cowboy boots and a checkered shirt, or like a denim dress and cowboy boots. And it's really different. It's really exciting though for country and that country space that we all sort of live in. And it's a very, very broad genre as well. You do have like your country and Western, which is what I would call like pretty old school, like Hank Williams. And then, you do have now just your country space, which alludes to bluegrass, soul, folk, country rap, country pop. It's just so huge. And I think it doesn't matter what space you come from now in country. There's lots of people that are introducing themselves to all of those different subgenres in country.
Yeah. And I'm loving the younger generation. Like I look each year when CMC Rocks is on here in Queensland, and you see, they have the family day where all the kids are there, and like just this, they're all dancing along and dressed up in their jeans and their checkered shirts and stuff like that. And there's just this love and this reintroduction to the younger generations of this country theme, which is brilliant.
Yeah, look, I was at CMC the other week, and it's just 30,000 country music fans, and I'm like, what is going on? And they're as young as 5 years old, and there's kids getting around, and there's kids shows specifically of a morning in the Stampede stage just for the kids. It's kind of like the Wiggles country. Like, I mean, the Wiggles are even country now. Like, just to even say that is mind blowing. Like, the Wiggles have a country album. They've got a song with Dolly Parton, and like, it's a very, very exciting space to be in now. And the fact that it's not just now people growing up on a farm listening to country music, it's people living in the city that their parents love country music. And you don't have to just live in the country to love country music now. You can live anywhere. You can be from anywhere, and you can be of any age, and it's an exciting genre to love.
Yeah. What have you learned about, kind of persistence and resilience through the ups and downs, the highs and the lows of the industry?
Look, I think my biggest thing is having a support network that is behind you 100%. Having that, whether it's a supportive partner or supportive family or friends, but just surrounding yourself with people that believe in you and that believe in what you're doing and that are behind you, 1,000%. Not just the ones that are there for when you're doing well. They're there for when, things are tough and when you're having a crappy day and you're just going, oh, I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere with music and feel like no one knows who I am still, or I'm not writing the best songs at the moment. The ones that are going, you know what? Pick yourself up, shake it off. You've got this. Rather than, it's really easy to have those people that are supportive just when you're doing well. And that's something that I touched on a lot lately, that surrounding yourself with incredible people and knowing who your team is, knowing who your people are, knowing who that network is that you have, that you can call up and go, hey, like I just wrote this song. I'd love your opinion, good, bad, or ugly. And then also to being able to ring that person and go, hey, I just need a friend today. I'm just feeling crappy and I need to talk some stuff through. And they're like, yeah, cool. What can I help with? And rather than just those friends that only want to hear about the fact that you sold out a show or that you're on The Voice. Those ones are like, oh yeah, I love your music so much. I'm like, I haven't heard from you for 10 years. Like, that's a really, really important part for me, and something that it's so true. Like, everyone wants to be on the ride when you're doing well, but when, you're having a bad week or you're having a tough time, it's really hard to find some of those people that you thought were behind you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you need that support. And I think what you've just kind of summed up there is a good lesson and a good point in life. It doesn't matter whether you're a musician or whatever you choose to do in life, having that support network, having those people that will cheer you on even when no one else is, so that you can kind of gain that enthusiasm and gain that strength from their support.
Yeah, look, that's exactly right. I think it's really important to have that. And the more that I think the older you get, the more you realize who your people are, and you just learn to surround yourself with them. When you are younger, whether you are in music or, like you said, business of any kind, it's just creating a space where you are confident and happy, and you learn who to surround yourself with, who to work with as well, because that's another really important part with any kind of business, is that you're working with people that have the same goal, that have the same mindset, that want to achieve similar things or the same things, and are like, yeah, cool, like I want to be on that ride with you, and I want to go on that venture with you and be on that journey with you, and they're there like behind you the whole time.
Yeah. Obviously, through any kind of journey and any kind of pursuit of success, and pursuit of, goals, whether it's in music or in life, there's always self-doubt that creeps in. Can you tell me about was there a time that you ever kind of went, nah, this is it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go and do something else. I'm going to take a safer option.
Yeah, look, there was definitely a time where that exact thing happened for me. I went and got my real job. Like everybody said, because that was a huge thing when I was younger. Yeah, but what's your real job? I'm like, no, this is my real job. Yeah, but what do you do like during the week? I was like, I do music. Like I sing of a weekend, I work on the business during the week. And it was really hard for a lot of people to understand that that was what I did full time. And that was where I made my money, and that was where I put all my effort. And so I went and got that real job. I became a flight attendant, and I worked for a major airline, and then COVID hit, and I was like, okay, well, that real job didn't service me very well, because, being in aviation in COVID, it was like the industry that was hit probably the hardest. And then also too, being a musician, I went from having these two professions that I knew and loved that just were like, well, there's nothing happening now and I don't know what to do. So that was definitely a time for me where I went, I'm going to try something different, but the trying something different wasn't necessarily a good move for me. But it taught me that music was where I wanted to be, that every bit of self-doubt that I felt going into that new career was just purely a few voices getting in my head, and me letting those voices get the better of me and letting those opinions matter, rather than listening to what was in here and what was telling me where my heart lied. And, it's what I was always good at, but I definitely, for a period in time, was going through some, you know, tough personal stuff as well, that I had to step back. And if I hadn't have stepped back, I don't think I'd be where I am now, because I met my incredible husband working for that airline and working in that aviation space. And I now have the best supportive network behind me that I've ever had. I have half the reason that my career kicked off again after taking a little bit of a break is because I had someone that was behind me 1000% encouraging me to pursue something that I was good at and something that I loved, rather than just being like, no, honey, like you need to stay in aviation and have the real job. And instead of someone going, no, this is what you love and this is what you're so good at, like you would be an idiot to give this up.
Before we get back into the episode, from time to time you might have a burning question, a guest recommendation, a comment or some feedback, which I always appreciate. If so, I'd love to continue the conversation after this episode, so let's connect. I'm easy to find, but the best place to engage and connect is on Instagram, @TheSteveHodgson. But that's enough from me. Let's get back into the episode. Yeah. It's one of those things there's so many stories of it, but I think, you know, similar to your journey, you know, if I look in the sporting realm, you've got someone like Ash Barty who kind of took a break from tennis, went and started playing cricket and a bit of golf. And then she came back and then she ended up being world number one, right? Like she took a step away and then she, you know, obviously refound her love and was in the best, you know, obviously the best form of her life. And one of the other things that I draw from that story of Ash is, from a female perspective, is her choice to actually say, hey, yeah, everyone's saying, oh, are you going to beat Serena's Grand Slam record? And are you going to do all these things? And the expectations that are put on not just, you know, sports people and musicians, but, you know, women in particular is, oh, well, you know, how are you going to be able to do it when you have kids? And how are you going to be able to do it through all these challenges? And I think I love it when, you know, people now are kind of going, it's not about the 25 Grand Slams, or it's not about these things. This is my life and I'm going to live my life through those things as well. So are there any challenges that you found as a woman in the music industry?
Yeah, look, I think in general, like being a woman, you feel like you're living in a man's world a lot of the time. And you know, even coming from an aviation space and a music space too, like there is definitely those harder aspects being a woman, because it's like, well, how are you going to still have a music career if you have kids? And how are you going to be a mother and be a wife? And, you know, I myself don't have kids, and even just juggling time to spend time with my husband's really hard. He's a pilot. I'm a musician. We both travel for a living. He's in America right now. I'm in Brisbane. But you take everything each day at a time. And I'm not saying that kids are on the cards or off the cards for us, but you make it work. Just like you make a relationship work, or you make a lifestyle work. Yes, like life is hard and everything is hard. And I think there's a lot of stigma behind being a woman in music. And once you have a kid, then your music career says, you know, it's gone. It's out the window. And I think music and life is what you make it. And you have to have a really strong work ethic. You have to work hard. You have to have a great team behind you. There's so many aspects that come into all of that. And my husband and I talk about it all the time. And right now, I am so career driven that that's where my head is at. And if we choose to have kids, it's like, all right, cool. Well, we'll make it work. Simple as that. I'm not giving up what I do. If I've got to have a baby side stage in a capsule and I'm the stage and take an extra person on the road with me, you make it work. And so many people do it. So many women are successful in music, but there's definitely that pretense of that, well, once you have a kid, your career is out the window.
Yep.
So I think for anyone that is in the music industry, just know that, like, just because you're a woman, like we're not penalized in any way. Like it is definitely a lot harder. And I think too, even in terms of what you can sing about and what you can do in that space of a man could write about or could write and sing about getting blind drunk and having a one night stand or going on a 1 week bender and, being a woman singing about that, you could totally do it, but then your whole brand changes and your whole
Yep.
perception changes. But Morgan Wallen can sing about, all these different things. And then if you're a female singing about the same thing, it's like, oh, you can't sing about that.
Yep.
So I think it's just changing people's perception as well and making sure that whatever you're writing or singing or the lifestyle that you live is authentic. And that's something that I pride myself in a lot, is just being open, honest, and authentic with everything that I do.
Yeah, you provided a little bit of advice there for aspiring kind of musicians. What are some other, like obviously I'm sure you have people come to your gigs and come up to you and say, Tori, I want to be a singer, or I want to be a musician. Tell me, what do I need to know? What's some of that real advice for aspiring musicians, kind of looking to make a career out of it?
I think the biggest advice I could give is that, 1, believe in yourself. 2, have a great support network. And 3, another thing is like, you've just got to be all in. It's one of those things where if you do it half-heartedly, the result will be half-hearted. And I think it's a really tough career, and there's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, a lot of money put into everything. I am a full-time musician. That's all I do. I live and breathe music. I'm either doing admin stuff, I'm writing songs, or I'm recording music or playing shows. A lot of people still do work as well, and I'm not saying that that's unachievable by all means, but I have definitely found that I've had a lot more success with what I do and a lot more productivity by just doing music and by really working really, really hard on that.
Yeah. Through your career or through your life, what do you think has been your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge has been that self-doubt creeping in. It's something that you never think would get the better of you, but it definitely does. Or, you take on some criticism, not in the best way, maybe. You, instead of taking it on board, you take it to heart. Instead of learning from something, you go, oh, well, I'm not good enough. And I think if you can see through that and push through and persist, there's nothing stopping you. Self-doubt is always going to creep in, and there's always going to be moments that you think you're not good enough, or that you think, it's just not happening for you. But with hard work and persistence and just believing in yourself, I think anything's achievable and anything's possible. You've just got to want it enough.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great point. So what does the future hold for Tori Darke?
Look, the future for me right now, this year is a very crazy year with a jam-packed calendar touring. I'll be on the road with Lee Kernaghan all year throughout Australia, which I'm very excited about, as well as many festivals myself, like the Gympie Muster, and also Country Fest coming up, a few other festivals that are yet to be announced as well. Lots of new music. I have a new single coming out in May, and then probably another one around that August. And then another one before, we finish up for the year, and just continually writing, recording. I've got many dates booked in for the studio this year as well to get more music out there. Continually working on myself and myself as an artist, and just doing what I love. Like, I'm so, so grateful every day that I get to call this my job. It doesn't ever feel like work. There's good days and there's bad days, but nothing is ever that bad that I want to throw in the towel. And I think I'm really excited for what the future holds. I've had a really, really great couple of years, and I'm just forever trying to build on that and to create something that people want to come see, people want to come and hear, and people want to buy into that journey that I'm on and be a part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. And when you look to the future and you look towards, goals you've got in life, do you do any, kind of vision board exercises, or do you do any of that kind of real deep feeling vision stuff to kind of put it out into the universe?
Yeah, absolutely. So on my computer, on my desktop now, I have a vision board as my screensaver that I created. And I have been really diving deep into manifesting, and just, I think if you can see it, you can be it. And it's only really been something that recently I've started to practice a lot more, and just being grateful every day for what you have and for what you get to do. And I'm grateful that I get to play music, that I have this voice that I can share with people, and these songs I can share with people. And the future for me, what I have in mind for myself, it might take me a year to get there. It could take me 10 years to get there, but I'm pushing for that every day. I'm every day going, okay, well, how do I get there? And what do I need to do to make that happen? And who do I need to work with? Or what do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? And how hard do I need to work? And just forever working at that. I think there's always something to learn with anything that you do. And, surrounding myself with people that are better than me that I can learn from, I think it's really important in what I do as well. Surrounding myself with incredible producers or people that have been writing songs longer than I have or better musicians than me always makes me want to be better, always makes me want to learn something more. And I think just over the past couple of years, really honing in on those vision boards and manifesting and just seeing what my future looks like, it's really exciting because I'm like, man, if I can achieve all that, like what's next? Because that's really exciting.
Yeah. And obviously, when you're looking towards your goals and your dreams, there's always kind of a ladder to that success. But talk to me about standing on top of the ladder. What is that vision for you? What would be the ultimate dream for you in your career?
The ultimate dream for me is honestly just to be playing music and to continue to be doing, having a sold out show, and doing a tour that you've got hundreds of people coming to see you every night, that I get to share my music and my voice with people and my story. I absolutely love doing what I do. And the ultimate goal for me is just to keep doing what I'm doing, but on a bigger scale. I would love to release an album next year. And that's something I'm really pushing for at the moment. So then with that said album, I want to tour with that album and just forever chasing those bigger dreams that I'm, playing shows overseas as well. And I see all of that happening. I really do. And I really believe in the next sort of 2 years for me and where that sort of all lies, and playing country music festivals, Tori Darke being a name on all of those posters. It's something that I feel really passionate about, and I'm really excited about where the future might lead.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, obviously, you talk about storytelling, right? And storytelling in music connects to people, right? Connects to your fan base. And it really kind of, if you can get people to feel, they will follow you, right? Like, so whether it's a breakup song or a love song or whatever it is, right? Talk to me about, your creative process when it comes to, writing the songs, getting your inspiration.
Yeah, look, I think inspiration for me, especially over the last few years, has been something I've really worked hard at creating, writing songs that people can relate to and they can, I guess, grab that song as their own and sing it in their car and go, oh my God, Tori wrote this song about me. I think there's always going to be songs that are a bit more personal to you, and that's just part of being a musician. But having a song that you can share with the world and go, hey, this song's really important to me, but I hope it will be for you. Or people coming up to you and going, oh my God, that song that you wrote about your husband, or that song you wrote about living or feeling or being in love or being heartbroken or whatever it may be. The fact that someone can resonate with that and go, I felt like you wrote that song for me. That's really, really cool. And I always try to, especially the last few years, just tap into that space where I'm not necessarily writing just for me. I'm writing for the people as well. It might be my story, but as soon as that song's out in the world, it's your story. It's other people's journey. And if you can tap into that, I think it's really important and really special.
Yeah. And it becomes part of their story. It becomes part of their experience. Like I know you see online now where, mums are sharing stuff that, songs that they sung in their childhood, right? Or in their teens. And they're like, this kind of was like I do cycle class, right? And it's interesting, a couple of the cycle instructors, they'll say, oh, I loved this song. I actually sung this song in a song when I broke up with my first boyfriend and, all these things. And it's actually like, milestone moments in their life are then connected to a song.
Oh, absolutely. And I got married 2 years ago, and the song that I walked down the aisle to was a song that I wrote for my husband, and he didn't hear it 5 minutes until before we walked down the aisle.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but that's a song that I will have come out in the next couple of years, because I want to share that with someone. Like I kept it to myself just while I was in, that phase of my life, and I'm ready to share it with people. I want people to feel what I felt writing that song, and I want other people to be able to walk down the aisle to it or have it as a part of their wedding. And I want people to hear a song and go, oh my God, I was here when I heard that song. Or I first heard that song when I was 21 and I was doing this or doing that. And I mean, I have songs like that that I grew up listening to, or that I had these amazing memories from. And I think that's what's so cool about music and so special, which is why, not necessarily everyone's doing it, but music it's like your journal that you're sharing with the world, and then it's like everyone's reading it, but everyone's also buying into that as well and going, oh my God, like I was here, or this got me through that breakup. Like I've had songs that I can't listen to anymore because I was in a tough time in my life, or they got me through a tough time in my life. It was that one song that that you had blasting in the car for weeks because you were just in that space at that time. And it's definitely a goal of mine to have more and more of those moments myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing?
To be honest, oh gosh, I really don't know. I've thought about this so many times, and I mean, look, I tried being a flight attendant. It was great for a little while. I think I'd be doing something where it just involved spending time with people. I love interacting with people. I love surrounding myself with people that motivate me, and I don't know exactly what sort of space that would be in, but I'm a real people person. Like if anything, I'd probably run a store where I got to meet people, every day and have those different conversations. And that's what's really cool about music, is because you do get to have conversations with all people from all sorts of walks of life and all different places. And music for me has always just been the only thing I know, right?
Yep.
So thinking what else I would do, it could be anything. It really could be. I mean, I've worked in a bottle factory. I did that during COVID. That's definitely a different experience. But no, I think it honestly, if I wasn't doing music, I do love working. So I think I'd be doing something that made me really happy.
Yeah. And through your earlier years to now, like how has success changed? Like your definition of success, what is it today and how has that changed over those years?
Success for me today is being a full-time musician. And definitely when I was younger, it was the goal was to just do music, to not have to have that daily grind of that 9 to 5 as well, and have a really understanding boss that was like, yeah, you can have weekends off. Whereas now I am my own boss. I can afford to take time off if I need to. I can have a weekend off if I want to. And I can spend Monday to Friday working on my business and chasing the dreams that I love so much. And I think the younger me was chasing a dream and trying to live that dream. Whereas now I feel like I'm absolutely living that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And throughout your life, who would you say has been your greatest teacher?
My greatest teacher, I'd probably say my parents. My parents really instilled into me from such a young age that I could achieve anything and to follow my dreams. And that, my mum's biggest thing when I was a kid was it was never if I make it, it was like when I make it. And just changing the perception of where I was going, instead of having doubt sort of roll in. It was like, no, there's no if, it's a when, or there's no maybe, it's a yes. It's really shifting that mindset of being able to achieve anything and not living in the what ifs.
Yeah, and the change of that dialogue changes how you think about it internally.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It makes you just go, no, like when I get there, not if I get there, and makes you see things very differently and makes you approach life or that career goal in a whole nother way.
Yeah. And Tori, one last question. If you someone that's with us today or has passed on, if there was one person that you could sit down and create and sing music with, who would it be?
That's such a tough one. I have so many different role models or inspirations in music, and one of them I've sung a duet with on The Voice. Keith Urban is phenomenal. The other I've stood in a room with and learnt from, being LeAnn Rimes.
Yeah.
So, but I think someone that I would, love to sit down with and pick her brains would actually be Dolly Parton. I think she comes from really humble beginnings, and she is someone that is so successful. And although she is a country musician, you can say Dolly Parton and anyone in the world would know who she is.
Yep.
She is just a force of nature and an incredible songwriter and singer and artist. And I think she would have just some incredible stories to share and advice.
And she seems, we were talking about authenticity, right? I think she lives and breathes authenticity.
Yeah, and I mean, she's as real can be, besides like the surgery and things. But and she touches on all of that. She's like, when I've seen her play before, she really sort of buys into that. She's like, I know that, this part of me isn't real and blah blah blah. Like, she's very open and honest about everything. She's not living in this fantasy world of what's true and what's not. And I love that. She's funny, she's honest, she's authentic, and that's what any brand or person should be.
Yeah, yeah. And I think she also seems like someone that doesn't really take life too seriously.
No, and I think that's so important, especially when you are in that space where you are in the limelight. If you're too serious, you're not I just don't feel it's not approachable is the word, but you don't feel like you can connect. Whether it's with the music or with things that you see on socials. And I think it's really important just to be you. That's the biggest thing I've learned, is just to be me. And, even if I'm having my dorkiest moment, it's like, oh, well, that was me, like, through and through. And, sharing those parts of you with the world.
Yeah. And that's where your fan base, you find your own tribe, right? I think in music, in any kind of industry, any kind of career people are in, a lot of the time they think, who do I need to be that person? But we all find our own tribe as long as we're authentic and genuine and real.
Yeah, that's it. And I think you really do find the people that are like Team Tori or Team Steve. And you find the people that are like your fans, that are your supporters, that are your biggest advocates. And, the people that are there cheering you on. And the more and more you go through life, you realize who that team is, who that tribe is. And you can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I've really been, it's just been such an enjoyable conversation. I've loved having you on for an episode, so I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to seeing where Tori Darke goes in the next couple of years and beyond. I know you've got some exciting projects on, and I look forward to, following those on social media. For those that want to connect with you and want to kind of follow that journey with you, where's the best place to connect?
Look, probably these days it's online or coming to a show. So my website is toridarke.com. Otherwise, I'm on all socials. You can see all things that Tori does and Tori doesn't do, and be my authentic self, have my dorky moments on social media, which happen very often. Yeah, I've had so much fun. Thank you so much, Steve. This has been really, really great.
No, and I always say, you run into someone, you meet someone, you connect with someone for a reason. And when I met you, I thought, I've got to get you on the podcast and share your journey, share your story, and also support, the kind of impact you're having, not just in the musical, but you're for aspiring musicians. I think the strength that they take from looking up to people like you that are kind of, focused on their dreams, and, telling that story, going through that storytelling. I think it's really important to kind of, make sure that we're shining a spotlight on that.
Nah, thank you so much. It really means a lot. It's a tough industry, and if there's ever any way that I can help someone else chase their dreams and help someone else follow that, then, that's why I do this. It's not just for me. It's like, yes, it's a a very, I guess, like self-indulgent type of career because you are the face, you are the brand, you are the voice, you are the sound. But I'm always wanting to be, you know, encouraging people to follow their dreams, to follow what they love and do something that they're passionate about, because that's definitely what I get to do every day.
Awesome. Perfect way to end. Look forward to getting the crew together and catching you at one of your next gigs.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks, Tori.